All right, we're up and at it here. A new way to doing this show, as Peeze is still on mute.
Peeze, you have to hit the mute button.
Yeah, you gotta unmute your button.
I was saying the show doesn't start without a countdown.
Yeah,
So-
the
really
countdown
no
can chat. We just
I know, but
did
like I
this.
didn't hear it.
We
You gotta-
literally just did this on the last show that we did, and now you did it again. It's not that complicated.
But
It's
I need
we're
you to count it
live
down.
when you see yourself on the screen.
But, I mean, look, I'm here. I'm just chilling in Della Reeze Manor because we've been quarantined again. We're calling the quarantine. You know, it's already difficult. There's so much stress and pressure doing it this way. And all I'm asking for is a countdown. It's not complicated.
Well,
All right,
I
we're
know
live.
is that
There you go. You're happy?
all I know is that
No.
once our imp just came up on the screen, we're ready to go. So I was ready to go. All right, so calling the Audible with Peeze and Moe Khan. We are in our respective castles, as opposed to the normal shipping container that we're in St. Leonard. Eagle's in the container right now as we speak, so it's his nest for the night.
Yes. I mean, it's always my nest for the night, but sure.
No, you can, do whatever you want. No one's there. You can watch the NFL, some MLB.
Ugh, why would I watch MLB?
I don't know. Maybe you want to watch some baseball, man. 24 hours. All right. Anyway, enough of that. So Peeze and I, we're in our respective homes. We're going to do a playoff preview. I'll go over a few things as we are, of course, in a unique situation given what's going on in the world with COVID-19. And first and foremost,
I just wanted to take a moment. Because
oh, yes. Please. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Please. Because apparently it's not been clear that every week I praise you for the amazing job that you've done at the field. Because above all other things, you're doing a job that nobody else wants to do. You're dealing with our health and safety. It's very important. You take care of us, my man. It's an honor to have you there. You're also very handsome and lovely. But in all seriousness, like you're doing important work, making sure that at the very least, if people are exhibiting basic symptoms, we're asking them to turn away. And we've had a very successful season, largely because of your involvement and upkeeping our protocols. I'm hoping that after 8 weeks or so, 9 weeks, Rob Campana has finally listened to his own product and will give me a note that's more reflective of the show we actually put on.
I don't think he knows that there's a show going on with you and I hosting the show.
It's also possible.
He
But
probably
it's
thought
if there is a show, make sure you congratulate Mo.
He probably thought it was like Iggy Magnets and like Alexis Dubois, the media guys.
It should be,
and
probably,
like,
actually. It'll be
he
better
probably did.
information than
So let's dive into it, guys. Of course, the most important thing is the protocol moving forward for the remainder of the Fall Cup season that we have left, which, of course, is next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And, of course, finals Tuesday in about less than 2 weeks, 2 weeks or so, give or take, whenever you watch this show. So, Eagle, let's go over it first. What is the most important thing now for teams as they're gearing up for next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, if they're having players who might be on the fence about playing or opting out?
Yeah, excellent question, Mo. So, I mean, like you said, we're still on. We're in red zone, though, so we got to keep that in mind. So all the usual protocols are still in place. Sanitize your hand when you walk in, wear your mask, especially, the gaiters we've given out. Try and use those on the field. Again, recommended. You don't have to, but we'd like you to. If you have players that are uncomfortable and don't want to play, we completely understand. We're going to be expanding our injury reserve or our IR rules. Normally, this only applies for like season-ending injuries where you can replace someone, but because COVID and the whole red zone stuff, we understand that the risk is a little bit high for some people, so they may not want to come out anymore. And so we're going to be allowing for captains to provide us a list of players that are opting out of the playoffs, essentially. And what you'll be able to do is transfer their games played to another player of similar cap space hit that's going to be needed. So you'll be able to give us that list of players of who's sitting out and then who you're replacing them with over the next couple days. So our timeline right now is you need to give us a update by end of day tomorrow, more or less, in terms of which players are opting out, and then you'll have until probably Sunday end of day to actually tell us who the replacement player is and make sure it fits in your cap and all the other stuff. So that's our guidelines right now. We're going to have more information on that coming out tomorrow with a post on our page, wall, group, website everywhere to kind of give more details of how it's all going to work. But that's the general gist. So you'll have the ability to opt out players from your roster if they don't want to play because of the COVID pandemic for playoffs, and replace them with a, I guess, equivalent player.
I just want to take the opportunity to congratulate and applaud FPF for providing maximum flexibility to captains and to players. It's just really important for us to recognize how important a decision this was.
So the gist of what Peeze is saying, he prays at everyone all night long, including Kevin Kasai. But the gist of what Eagle's saying is this: Friday, you must inform the league of the direction of what your roster would look like prelim-wise. By Sunday, it's finalized of who will be your roster moving forward towards the knockout round, pretty much. And another thing, Eagle, that we'll bring up quickly here, since we're now no longer outdoors, thank God, we have now Laval and Brossard left on our schedule. There are no fans permitted for these two complexes until further notice. So essentially, there won't be any fans for the remainder of games that we have left for the season. So for those who want to bring out their parents, their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, that is a no-no. So it's only players that will be allowed onto the field to play your game. And then once you're done, you leave and go home.
Yeah.
Anything else, Eagle?
That's the main gist of it. Like I said, we'll have more information coming out tomorrow with all the details. Of course, everyone stay safe out there. We actually, if you think about it, Mo, we had a lot of games played in a lot of facilities, and the fact that we had 0 cases that we've had to deal with. I definitely want to applaud
FPF on having a successful season and having so many games where there weren't any outbreaks, and just well handled by FPF. Just pat on the back all around.
There were a couple incidents recently where a player on I think it was the Rainmakers, if I'm not mistaken, did tested positive for COVID. So before the game's going to get played, every player is getting tested. I think we've got a bunch of results already. They're all negative. So it hasn't actually been contracted at FPF, which is great. It's helping elsewhere, and we're adjusting forward with our protocol. So it's working the way we expected it to. Just right near the end of the season, when we were looking for the makeup games, it kind of impacted some of the schedule. So that's why you're going to see some weird results in this last makeup week, including some stuff in Tier 1 and Tier 3.
Anyone else want to heap praise on Peeze before we move forward?
Just Mo, the decorations in your house are just wonderful. Moe Khan with just absolute fine taste. She's just an incredible woman and continues to show it on a daily basis.
Do a little, there you go.
So so the lamp in your back,
you sure it's not
back
covered?
Right shoulder, it's covered in plastic. I'm sure. That one all the way in the back for sure.
You guys have to see for yourself when you come over to the house post COVID.
Right.
28 days from now.
In 28 days, perhaps.
29 days from now, you guys be back.
28 days later, we get to see the plastic on Moe's lamp.
Exactly.
My God, that's
exactly. Okay, let's dive into what's the most important thing is the remaining teams left in terms of the knockout games, the Money Bowl, the non-Money Bowl games that we have. So let's go into Tier 1, Peezler, and let's dive into what we have, which, of course, is Brave Noir, Terror Squad, BYOB, Sweat and Beers. Not much to play for, Peeze. This is a consolation. You win yourself a bowl game.
Graphic Geeks.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Thank you very much. There you go. Perfect. I feel like this graphic here looks like it's 2 teams versus 2 teams, Like BYOB, Sweat and Beers are one team against Brave Noir against Terror Squad.
I like it. 12 on 12.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have that. Anyway, so let's dive into the first game here. Brave Noir against Terror Squad. Peeze, your thoughts on this here? Look, these 2 teams, Brave Noir, we thought we would be in the Final Four of the Money Bowl game. That's not the case to be. But how do you see this game playing out in terms of the 2 teams going at it next week?
So Brave Noir, if they are successful here, and I think even if they're not, do they want to rejoin their Braves compatriots for next season, or do they branch off on their own and just become like the Bravers, the most brave, the braveliest,
or like NWO?
Do they just become like their own team, right? And now that they've seen some success on their own, and say we're the Braves no one wanted, but tell you what, we're our own team now. That's the thing here, because I think they're going to win this game. I think that if I had to pick a favorite, I'd say they're going to be the favorite over Terror Squad. Terror Squad, we keep saying, or I keep saying, and you keep disagreeing and being wrong, that Terror
I
Squad.
didn't say anything about Terror Squad.
You've been saying all season, oh, well, they're good. Like the individual pieces are absolutely there, but there just isn't. There's nothing to tie it all together. It just isn't working and hasn't been that way for a while. And Brasnoir is the opposite. That they on paper don't even seem to be necessarily as strong as Terror Squad. They don't have all of the stalwart names that Terror Squad has, but it just works. It's a team that it all just falls together.
Yeah, I think the likelihood piece is that Terror Squad is the one group out of these two teams that would probably stick together moving towards what we will pray and hope to have a nice, smooth 21 season. I think Brave Noir, of course, given the context of what we had this Fall Cup, it's more or less for these guys to test themselves away from the Joe Mayo roster, right, and see how they are. And they're good, but look, if they're going to go as their own crew, they're going to have to add some more pieces to that core because they can't go into, say, a Div 2 or Div whatever they might end up in Winter 21 with that current context. And they have to get themselves more loaded with some more horsepower to work with.
Well, maybe they poach Terror Squad. Maybe they get, Pat Chenard, Tam Villadeath, get Terror Brave. Terror Braves.
Exactly. BYOB, Sweat and Beers. So it's the beer versus the beer or Sweat and Beers. Look, Sweat and Beers had a tough go, a few games where they lost by a single score. BYB was competitive, but the same thing as Terror Squad, right? They just couldn't really close out games when it mattered most. What do you take away from this matchup going towards next week?
So if there's like a team that you're looking for to want to have the best momentum moving forward, I would say it's on this side of the bracket, right? As these are teams that absolutely are going to return with their cores. BYOB improved as the season went on. And Sweat and Beers, to me, is the team that's most improved since their inception. I remember when they first started, they were relegated to Tier 2 back when we did a promotion relegation. And they weren't a team that was considered to be particularly strong. But every time they've taken the field, every season they've taken the field, they've gotten better and better and better. And I'm happy to see it because they're a great group of guys and great talented football players on that team, so I'm happy to see that level of improvement. This is to me the more interesting game. I think this one's actually gonna be a really close one, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch if we were allowed to watch it. But no fans.
If we're allowed, which we're not. All right, on to the Money Bowl games that we have lined up for next week, and this is where the money will be won. How much money will be won, Eagle, from these four teams? Whoever crowned.
Let me look it up. I don't know the number off the top of my head. It's a decent amount, to be honest.
I think it's $700. No,
I was gonna say I think it's like $700. Yeah.
Okay, so Bradel against Urgence Medic.
That's a lot of chicken wings.
That is a lot of chicken wings for sure. So Bradel has had a strong season. Joe Mayo showing why he is the regal
for the winner, 500 for the runner-up.
That's not too bad. That's pretty good for the runner-up, $5. So anyway, so Joe Mayo has shown that he is probably now the best quarterback right now in the league in all of FPF. Would you agree, Peeze?
I would agree. And I would say that if you remove the one big name that's missing this tournament, Joe Mayo is still the best quarterback in FPF right now.
Yeah, so, I think.
How about that?
Yeah, I think we look at what Joe has done the last couple of years. I mean, he is Big Game Joe. Well, that's not a good nickname, but he's Big Game, no problem, right? And in this case against Urgence Medic, where they had a trouble.
Big Johnson Joe. You have Nick Foles' nickname. So similarly, you have Big Johnson Joe.
Yeah, and look, they had a tough game against Arsenault Medic because Arsenault Medic won the first game against them way back in August. I think it was week 2 or week 3 of the first round of the FPF Cup. If Arsenault Medic is going to pull off the upset here, Peeze, against Bravel, what is the key for them to get that W to go on to the finals in 10 days?
So Arsenault Medic is a weird team, right? Like they don't really do a lot of the stuff that a lot of teams in the highest divisions do. They're not even a team we even expected to be here so quickly, but here they are. They're in the cash bracket. They were one of the ones who got sort of quote unquote screwed over when we had the promotion relegation, where they exceeded expectations and made it to the higher end bowl. And as we expected, the second round of the tournament, they just didn't do well, and then they got to a bowl game where they got eliminated. But this time around, they actually are here to play, and they're actually here in the same caliber as Braver. And to your point, Mo, they beat Braver before. And I think from an athleticism standpoint, Arsenault-Hum is the team that matches up best against Brav. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree, but I worry for Braver from this perspective. The size of Arsenault-Hum is they're big, they're wide, right? They have size, whereas Braver have the speed, right, with the Pilon brothers and what they do with that core. But I just wonder if the size will be the difference maker for Arsenault-Hum to win this football game, because they can throw a 50-50 ball up in the air, and they might have a Matthew Oul or Joel Oul or whoever's catching the football at that moment that can make a big difference on that 50-50 end zone ball.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and they like to attack, back of the end zone with their big bodies, and that's their advantage. Their advantage is their size, their athleticism. Brav are athletic, but to your point, this version of the team is missing some of the size that they've had in previous seasons. Not to call the Pilon short, but that's what we're doing.
Shorts.
Which is by comparison, right? Because there's not they're a tall team, and the Pilons, if they were 6'5", life just wouldn't be fair, right? Like, you can't be that fast and be that tall, So at that point,
unless you're DK Metcalf.
But yes, unless you're DK Metcalf. Honestly, we're not doing picks just yet. I think we're both going to lean Braves' direction, but I'm not even fully decided on my pick yet, because I actually think this is the worst matchup for Braver of the 4 teams.
All right, KGP, Consequence. We'll have to take a break because I have to go to the washroom, actually, Peeze. Go figure. I'm at home. I have to go to the washroom.
Okay,
anyway,
so you've never had to do this in studio, by the way.
Never, but now I have to go to the washroom, right? Go figure. I guess I'm all screwed up here.
Do Eagle and I break it down in your absence?
Yes, you break it down right now. I'm back in 2 minutes, boys.
Okay. Eagle, what do you think about this matchup? That's not weird at all, by the way.
No, not at all. I mean, admittedly, it is kind of fun that we get to do this, because now we can just make fun of the fact that there's an empty chair and Mo's supposed to be there. So wait, hold on. Let me see if I can make this a little bit more. Hold on. It's coming, and there
it is. There we go.
There he
He's
is.
in the wrong spot. We got to put him in the seat. There we go. So Eagle, as a spandexed Moe Khan, what would you say about the KGP controversy matchup?
Consequence, you mean?
I don't know. Khan something. Wrath of Khan.
So I don't know what to think about this one, because KGP was on such a roll going into the qualification round, essentially, and then they kind of lost their steam and everything.
Consequence was the opposite. A consequence was the opposite.
So I don't really know how to look at these teams anymore and evaluate them. We can use their previous matchup as maybe a baseline, but I mean, again, that was in week 3 and KGP lit them up 52-27, and I believe that's the week that AJ Gomes wasn't available for Consequence to throw to. Yeah, he wasn't there. They had Isaiah Allard filling in instead. So it's almost a brand new matchup as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what to think. I feel that KGP is in for a battle on this one, but if it's a high-scoring game, that may actually be what you want, right? Because I can see Dan Lazara making a critical mistake at one point, and Phil Cutler getting away with one or not making one at all.
Look, I'm not. First of all, I think sports fans overuse the concept of choking. I don't think it's possible to choke in a team game because there's too many things that are involved. I think you can choke on a short putt. I think you can choke at the free throw line, but I don't think it's possible in a team game. So Dan Lazara has been labeled by you mainly, Eagle, but by some in the FPF community as a choker, and I don't think that's entirely fair. I will say that there are times where he puts too much on his shoulders and makes a mistake. And if the game is fast-paced, that's when he tends to make the mistake. Dan Lazara is just phenomenal at when he's playing calm, composed, and just manipulating all the elements on the field. It's awesome. It's like a composer. Like, that's what you want. But then when he has to go toe-to-toe, he goes into hero tacos, super tacos. And as impressive as that image is, it's not one that I think is the path to success for him. I just don't think that the team is built for that, and I don't think it's him at his best. Would you agree or disagree?
I would say yeah, and I mean I'm kind of looking at again his list of receivers here. So you're gonna have AJ Gomes, you're gonna have Paul Lapierre as kind of the big guys on this team. You have Alessandro Barassone as well. I mean, looking at the KGP roster, you're going to have Julie Paiement getting a lot of speed potentially as a rusher against him, right? So that's not going to allow him to have those deep plays that he usually likes to have. He's going to have to drive the field maybe, like the quick outs or the slants that he does like. But you're going to have people jamming them down in that short space. So I really don't know if he's going to be able to even run his standard system with the rush speed that Julien is going to give him.
Yeah, that definitely is going to make it difficult for them. And I think we've exhausted all the topics we can discuss about this game, but Moe is still not returned. I think it's gone from a P break to a deuce. I think he might be dropping.
That's a lovely one.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate because, I mean, I care about my friend's bowels. So it's frustrating that he couldn't hold it for 45 minutes because I worry about his health. But also, do we just go into the next game at that point?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, at this point over here. So the next one we're going to talk about, you want to start the Cash Bowl or you want to start with the Consolations for Tier 2?
We started with Consolation. Let's do that again.
All right, so let's do Consolation B bracket, which is going to be the Theo Ojeaha Bowl, where we're going to have Warriors against the Bruins as the 9th and 12th seed, and on the other side of the bracket, we have Tough Lungs versus Pardon My Swag. Insert a question here.
Sorry?
I said insert a question here.
Okay, well, my question first is from Moe Khan. Was that an incredibly long urination? Oh, wait, I'll wait for Moe for his headset on. Was that an incredibly long urination, or were you actually dropping a deuce?
A combination of A and B.
Oh, there we go. Twofer. That's the best kind. That's the best kind. That's maximum relief.
It is. What I missed.
We're on to the consolation bracket in Tier 2.
All right.
Missed the entire game, basically.
Okay, so what game have you covered? Warriors and Bruins here, or are we on to Tough Lungs?
No,
let's start with the Warriors and Bruins.
Okay, so Warriors and Bruins. Peeze, look at these two teams, differing styles. One's very zen-like, one's very emotional-like, if you want to use that terms. But Bruins, a team that I think underachieved this year.
Nope.
Whereas the Warriors
exactly what I said they were going to do. It's the thing is, the top end talent on Bruins is excellent, but again, if the Tier 2, the quarterback play across the division was strong enough that if you gave away your defense, obviously, then quarterbacks are just going to pick on the weaknesses, and that's what it was. And look, the key for Warriors, because I have no doubt Michael Solomon is going to shred that defense because he's more talented than I am, and he's going to see the same things I saw for sure. It's not even a question to me. Eagle, while we're talking about this, let me know actually what their past history was. I'm curious. But Warriors, the key is they need to not beat themselves, and I understand they're a fiery group. And look, it's gotten out of hand. It's gotten to the point where, again, it's frustrating because, look, we want everyone to go out there and enjoy the game, but it's not enjoyable for anyone when the game turns out the way it has for the past couple of weeks for them.
Right.
But they're actually also worse. They play worse when they get that way, when they start getting on each other and start losing their temper. And so, like, they just stop playing. In fact, I hate to say this as an FPF employee, but if I'm the Bruins, I'm going to try and piss them off in every little way. But
the Bruins have no trash talkers, though. Like, Gab Wiseman is probably the best trash talker, and that he's not even a trash talker.
Zach Swern can talk.
I don't see any, so there's no previous matchups in fall, at least for this season, and I'm trying to find the previous matchup at all, but I don't see one either. So I meant
in fall. It's okay.
Yeah, there was none.
But I was going to say, but for the Bruins, I just find that they're kind of tough lungs a little bit, which we'll talk about very soon, where they're sort of one-dimensional with their roster, that it's Zach Zwirn as their primary target, and then everyone else, if they get lucky, will get a couple targets here and there. I just hope for the Bruins' sake they're able to kind of diversify the portfolio and get the ball out to the different pass catchers on the roster. Whereas for the Warriors, you're right, Peeze. I agree with you that, hey, if they're focused and they just keep their mouths shut, they're a very effective team. They almost beat the Pepperoni Boys in the first encounter back in August, and they took out some teams like Easy W included because they were focused on the game itself. So if they're quiet and they remain focused, yes, they have a great chance to beat the Bruins on the weekend.
I agree. That's going to be their key. Mo, what do you think about Tough Lungs? Part of my swag. I switched things on you. You're the host, right?
I know.
Now you got to analyze. Let's do it.
I know. I should use the generic backs against the wall, like Emmett Smith style analysis here. Look, Tough Lungs. I saw them play on Tuesday in Brossard. They had their makeup games that they did. They played Pepperoni Boys one game, and they played the Gold Cock in another game. The reality is, and it's the same carbon copy script of theirs until they will load up on add more players that will be more dynamic. It's a one-man team. It's a one-man show on both sides of the football. They have players. They have good pass rushers. But when it comes to their offensive situation, though, Peeze, the woes are pretty evident for them. And they need to figure out how to get more players involved that will be the step-up guy as a number 2 or number 3 option for the Lerner offense.
In playoffs, in FPF, you need offensive production from your secondary receivers. And usually secondary receivers might be a snapper. It might be your third receiver. For Tough Lungs, it's going to be a number 2 guy, Olivier Delaris. Olivier is just a physical presence. He's a very good athlete. He's the quietest guy on the field you've ever seen. Really nice dude. But I think he's got to be louder. I think he's got to call for the ball. I think he's got to make Matt Lerner realize that he's there because the one season that Justin Lerner didn't play with Tough Lungs, we saw him emerge as true number 1 on the team, and he has that ability. It's just that the ball gets funneled into one direction, and we're hopefully going to see that change at some point. And I think there's no better time to start than in this playoffs. I also think if I look at this game, this is the best matchup for Part of My Swag. Tough Lungs, you got to look out for Olivier Delaris. You got to look out for Justin Lerner on defense, but they're not a team that shoots gaps really well, and that's what you need to do to Brad Evans. That's the way to make him pay. Now, you've seen him more this season, Mo, than I have because, again, I can't be at the fields and you can. So I want to know, do you still see that from Tough Lungs defense, or have they gotten more aggressive?
Tough Lungs defense is opportunistic. There was a play on Tuesday against Pepperoni Boys where literally one of their guys was in cement but had his ankles broken on the play, and he fell to the ground. It was like, oh my God, call the game now, please. But I think in regards to them going against Part of My Swag, Brad Evans, and this is a big game for Brad Evans because we've hyped him up. We've hyped him up so much this year, beg your pardon. And now it's a team that's loaded with talent that can be game breakers. And I think it's time for him to be the game breaker for this PMS roster where they can say, hey, he threw for 2 bills and 6 touchdowns and put us into the finals of the Theo Ojeaha Consolation bracket. But if he can't do it now with this roster, I'm not sure if Brad Evans can do it with any roster because with all due respect, Peeze, this is probably his most talented roster of uber athletes he's had in a long time.
I agree. So I'm going to tell a quick story before we move on to the next bracket. Mo.
Oh, story time.
Story time. I thought actually it's a follow-up to the story. And let me explain to you, because Mo, you're not married yet, right? And Eagle, you're not married yet. I'm the only married guy in the room. This is the only group of friends I have where I'm the only married guy. So I want to teach you guys a little something about marriage. I told a story last week about how I cut some sunflowers for my wife and ended up with all this pollen in my mask and suffered at the grocery store, right? I just want to show you what love is, right? Right here, right in front of me. Because I'm wiping my nose and couldn't figure out why. And this is why, because I cut some more sunflowers for her this week. And I'm suffering because I'm doing the show now from the kitchen, from my island, not even a foot away from, I'm not even socially distant from these sunflowers, Mo. So that's love. That's love right there. That's the only way to do it. You gotta put your own allergies behind someone else's needs.
All right, let's go on to the next games here for the Tier 2 brackets that we have lined up. Eagle. And next game up is Santar against Mangoose. All right, so Peeze, we look at these two teams. Santar, they had a pretty good year. I thought they definitely exceeded expectations. I think that tie will hurt them, as it did, because they're not in the Moneyball game. Mangoose, I thought, underachieved.
They always kind of do, right? Because they're just from a talent perspective, I don't know that anybody in this division has more raw athleticism than Mangoose, right? So, I'm curious to see if they can sort of flip the switch at some point, and if this is going to be the game. Centaurs have one key issue that prevents them from being a stronger team, and it's something I've talked to with Jordan Rossi, right? Am I getting it right? Yes, right? Yes. Sorry. I'm momentarily confused with Rossi's. Jordan, my bad. Jordan Rossi knows that the team right now is struggling in the red zone. Red zone scoring is something that they've had to improve on. They have not yet. So they're going to need to have either long strikes for scores or intermediate strikes for scores. And I think that's going to be their best chance of success. For Mangoose, one of the things we're going to see, I like the matchup between Nick Schaefer and rusher Denzel Eddie Lowe. Denzel Eddie Lowe is an elite rusher in this division. He's just a freak athlete. And Eagle, you've played with him, right? Like, you remember, he's just a wrecking ball on defense.
Yeah, super fast.
He was on a terrible team with us, and he was by far the only reason we ever got a stop. So he's not only fast, but he's just really good at changing direction. And Nick Schaefer is a guy who throws in the pocket, but he also has some design rollouts, and he also will buy time now and again. And he will not be able to do that against Denzel Eddie.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have the time, Schaefer, but he's got it. He's probably a more refined quarterback than Rossi is. I don't think Rossi has a deep ball that can match Schaefer's deep ball if they went, 40 bomb type of thing. But the Santar's do have athletes that can match up with the Mangoose receivers. And that is where I'm quite fascinated to see how that will unfold for them next week in this matchup here. And look, this is a big building block for Santar, because I think for Rossi now, just like when we talked about the other quarterbacks looking to take that next step, like Brad Evans included, this is a big step for him that if he does well, if he ends up winning this side of the bracket pool, it's going to probably up his confidence going towards the restart, if not for the winter 21 season. So we'll see.
I'm inclined to agree.
All right, Shorthorns, a team you played yesterday or on Wednesday at CND against the Girl Cock.
Yesterday was Wednesday.
Yes, it was. But for those who do watch, it might be Saturday.
That's fair. That's a good point.
That's what we do over here, right? So Shorthorns, Peeze, they have some good players, as you saw firsthand against the Girl Cock. I'm quite fascinated by the quarterback battle with these two teams here. The cannon arm of Sakara against the improv of Dom LaFour. Who's got the edge?
So I don't know if I'm sorry. It's not a team I'm as familiar with as others, so I don't know the rusher on Texas Shorthorns. Eagle, if you can look that up for me. Who's been the rusher all season. But I think he's not going to be able to contain Dom LaFour, and that's the key to stopping Lego Cook. But the reason why this isn't an easy win for LGC is the Texas. By the way, I love that this is Texas against Lego Cook. Just love the naming in this game.
Symmetry at its finest.
Absolutely. It was divine from the gods. The thing is that they have enough offensive firepower that it doesn't ultimately matter that they won't be able to stop them, because it takes one stop. And you saw it against us, Moe. We were winning in the first half, and they just we got one stop, but then they kept scoring, and it put so much pressure on our offense that it just became difficult to keep pace. Texas Shorthorns play bizarre defense. They admitted to me last night, and I don't know if it was just their game plan last night, where they told me, we just shot gaps in random directions. So it made it kind of impossible to read. It was kind of off-putting for like a drive or two, and then. That's something that Dom LaFour might struggle with, but because he's not a guy who relies on making quick reads, he's a guy who buys time. It's going to be incumbent on the rusher to contain him. And Eagle, have you found his name?
The website's taking a long time to load, and no one has any sacks in the preliminary round, and in the qualification round.
Who sacked me twice yesterday?
Brian Foster, probably.
Yeah, Brian Foster.
So Brian Foster is going to have trouble containing Dom LaFour.
It's funny because the spin off their name is off the Texas Longhorns, right? Which is kind of synonymous with the Longhorn defense, the real Longhorn defense in Texas, where they can give up points, they don't stop anyone in defense. But the thing is, what I find that I think Shorthorns can do what works for them, right? Which is Sakara playing quarterback. When they get cute with John Bees as quarterback, that's why I think they lose a little bit of their drive to be creative in terms of, hey, they have lethal weapons as pass catchers. But I think for the Gros Coq, they've been very good this year. I know they've been through their trials and tribulations with COVID and whatever it was. But the Gros Coq, their defense, if they can force at least one turnover from the Shorthorns offense, I think that's a difference maker in why they could win next week.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. I also noticed that not only is it Texas and Le Gros Coq, but it's also the Shorthorns and Le Gros Coq. So symmetry, but also direct opposites.
Exactly. On to the next game here, Eagle.
And this is going to be the Tier 2 cash bracket, the Patrick Jerome Bowl. Half a Stars, Outlaws, Pepperoni Boys, Easy W. The champion wins 400, and the runner-up wins 300.
Okay, so not too bad of a money win over here for whoever does come through in the Jerome Bowl. Half a Stars, Outlaws. Half Stars have been the immortals of this league. They did not play the game this past week, given what was going on in the real world of life. Outlaws, I thought, Peeze, they were going to be on the outs looking in with that tie that they suffered late in the season, but they get in as a 4 seed. Can they match the Half a Stars offense and go touchdown for touchdown, or will they have to slow it down and make it a grind type of game here?
So they will slow it down. That's I don't see Stephen Harpersad wanting to have to put up 35 to 40 points to win the game. But I think from a matchup perspective, this is actually kind of an even match for Half a Stars. Both teams kind of work the same way. They're just methodical and smart teams. And I actually really like this matchup. It's a shame I can't be there because it's one that's going to be fun to see. Hopefully, maybe we can get Andrew Langbert to send us the footage so I can actually get to watch it. But I'm excited by this particular game. I think it's of the 3 possible matchups for Half a Stars, this is the one that I think is most interesting. But it's still going to be difficult. They're basically undefeated, and that's not for no reason. And Outlaws, as good as they are somewhat flawed, and that if this becomes a so Stephen Harpersad, he's the guy at the poker table that you don't want to see with a tall stack, but he's also the guy where if he doesn't get after that start, you might see him having to sell his body on the streets on Frank Sinatra Boulevard. So
right, but let's not forget Half Stars did have the forfeit, the rare forfeit win, forfeit loss on the same night for the Gros Coq against Half Stars and I think it was Pepperoni Boys involved or whoever they played that night. I forget the other team they played. So
yeah, but it doesn't affect the standings. So I mean,
no, it doesn't. But in terms of the undefeated season for Half Stars, right?
But I mean, it's essentially we know they weren't defeated, right? Like
no, they weren't.
The record reflects that or not. But the thing is that for Stephen Harpersad to have a win, he needs to get a score and they need to get a stop. He needs to have a 2-score lead and manage the game. And if that's the game script, they're going to win. If it's anything else, Half a Stars are going to win the game.
I still don't know if they have. I mean, like the Outlaws have size. I mean, with Steinberg being one of the better athletes on that defense, but I don't know who can match up with Kevin Smuda. Will they go bracket coverage? Will they go, hey, we're gonna have this guy locked on them all night long? I'm not sure, but I think for the Outlaws, if there's one worry I have for them is that their defense would give up big chunks of yards. And that was pretty evident against Le Gros Coq when they were trying to hold the lead or trying to hold on to a tie, and they just let them march down the football field. So they got to be smart in their assignments because if they're not Peeze, it could cost them a few more yards and maybe this football game.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, Pep Boys.
Perfect.
Pep Boys, easy W. This might be one of those games, Peeze, where it might be 40 bomb after 40 bomb after 40 bomb, a touchdown.
Billion points. It's my favorite kind of game because defense is stupid.
Okay, great. All right, on to the next game then.
So the thing is like ECW's defense. So we've kind of overstated their defense because it has improved season over season. It's still not amazing. It's still not elite, but it's good enough now that it can give Jeremy Wyeth a legitimate chance to win every game. And Joe Cano, the thing is, a lot of this all falls on him because there's times where he is, one of the best quarterbacks in this tier. There's also times where you can't believe that that's the same person. Like if I were to take someone who's never seen flag football and say, hey, this guy's great at this game you've never seen. Let me show you an example of how beautiful this game can look. And then I show up. And if that just happens to be a night that he just drops, just like you dropped the deuce earlier, if he drops the deuce in that game, it's going to be inexplicable to me to explain to that alien why it is that we like FPF.
So what's wrong with Joe Cano? Why has he started this year?
I don't know. I don't know because the team is there and it's his own play and it's got to be just either not making adjustments when the defense does or him just not getting out of his own way. We've seen that. We've seen that in previous playoffs where I believe he lost a playoff game to TakeOver where he just inexplicably, for no reason, for no way that I can explain to that alien for some reason who I'm hanging out with and watching FPF games, I can't explain to that alien why it is that he looked that way that day. But if he does come out of the gates and play that way again, we're going to see an ECW win. And otherwise, we're going to see a score-for-score game, and whoever ends with the ball wins the game.
I was thinking about it before. I still don't know what the answer is. Maybe you and Eagle might answer it now. Who's got the better athletes, though? Pep Boys or the ECW?
I would say ECW, but I think Pep Boys have the better, system and adjustments that they can make, right? So if they see themselves getting beat in a certain way, or I can see Pep Boys going into the second half with a lead and never giving it up.
Right.
So you like to make the pro sports comparisons. I'm going to do one for you. I'm going to take that throne from you right now. So, when a team has top end talent, so you have, one team you have, for example, AD and LeBron, right?
Yeah.
They have the best two players on the court. I think Pepperoni Boys have that in Papich and Horner. ECW are the Miami Heat. They just have a lot of really fast, speedy guys who can get up and go get the ball, who can make guys miss, and they're exciting for that reason. So that's the best comparison I can draw. If you want to know who has the most talent, sure, ECW. But does it matter because Pep Boys have the best talent?
So essentially, Wyeth will go down the first quarter or first half, and then they're over for ECW. They're going to get hurt and not be able to play in the second half.
I hope not. I never want to hope for
injuries. All right, next games, Eagles.
Let's go Tier 3 Consolation B. We're going to do the Pat Chenard Bowl, Rainmakers versus Toon Squad, and Triple P versus LNJ.
Okay, so let's just clarify one thing here for the Consolation B bracket. Clarify to us, Eagle, winners will play each other for the B trophy. Is that what it is, more or less?
Basically, yeah. Okay,
very well then. So Rainmakers Toon Squad, this was supposed to happen for the last week of the regular season or the knockout or the second round of the FPF Cup here. I think this is big piece for Derek Kastner because it gives him more reps at quarterback in live action to get himself much more comfortable if he decides to pursue this avenue for the winter season next year.
I just like this because you have sort of FPF royalty on one side with Rainmakers. They're literally a name that I've known as long as I've played in FPF, right? Like they're a team I looked up to when I first started saying, yeah, those guys are fun to watch. I hope one day I can play on a team like that. And Toon Squad is the opposite. Toon Squad is a team who came up through FPF Junior. Rainmakers existed in a time where not only did FPF Junior not exist, but FPF was 2 divisions, right? Or were they the 3 division era? Like I don't remember, but they they've been around so long. I want to say members of Toon Squad might have been in grade school or yeah, probably grade school. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for that reason. Toon Squad have the edge with youth and athleticism, but it's just going to be hard to compete with the Kastner brains on the field. And the thing is too, as Kastner's improved as a passer, he's starting to use more and more of his weapons, and that's been fun to watch. So if he continues to spread the ball, that's gonna be a tough matchup for Toon Squad. If he tries to force it in one direction, he's gonna have trouble because again, the athletic edge does go to Toon Squad.
Yeah, I think for Toon Squad, first and foremost, this is a huge success for them, regardless of what happens now at this point of if they win a bowl game or not. But to get this far, I mean, many thought they probably wouldn't have won a game, and they won 3. They went 3-1 in the first round. Unfortunately, it didn't go well in the second round. But here they are in a potential situation where they can play for sure this game, maybe one more game left on their season. But this is a huge one for Toon Squad. I think they're still in the learning module right now of trying to adapt to adult football, bigger players, faster players, understanding concepts, route running. I think they can get better. And this, like with Derek Castor, just like with the Toon Squad here, this is important reps for them because if they continue on as this roster moving towards winter season Peeze, and if they do play whatever 6 or 60, whatever they end up doing for the winter 21 season, they can look back at this time and say, hey, look, this really helped us understand the FPF at the next level of football play.
Absolutely. And so where FPF is different from flag is FPF is absolutely a space game, and learning how to operate within those perimeters makes it difficult for players to adjust. But again, what's helped Toon Squad is that they are sort of bred through the FPF system, right? So now it's just a question of can they deal with former Division I players who know how to use physicality, know how to do it legally in a way to disrupt timing and disrupt all sorts of things going on in the game.
All right, Triple P, Les Neiges Journées. Triple P, rather disappointing second half of their FPF Cup. We thought, Peeze, I mean, after they lost to Lockdown back in the opening round, it kind of went downhill for them, and here they are. Do you think they'll be motivated to try to finish off strong here, or will this spiral continue into this game against the Neiges Journées?
Well, look, the loss to Lockdown isn't great, but like I said, Lockdown is a team that absolutely underachieved. So they did lose to a team that, despite the fact that the game was decided in sort of a strange fashion, they lost to a team that we would have thought heading into the season was better than them anyway. So that shouldn't affect them so much. In the end, they've made it to a bowl game, and they've got a great core, right? And it comes down to Mark Fairley. Mark Fairley, in the qualification round, has not seen the same success that he saw early. He threw 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and I want to say he threw like 14 and 5 in the preliminary round. So definitely, he's going to have to be what improves at this point, right? He's going to have to be the one who makes the largest step in the postseason. All
right, next game here, Eagle.
All right. That was a quick analysis on that one. So we're going to go.
I was kind of hoping Moe would take it and do some analysis, but he just said not one. To be fair, I will say, Les Neiges Journées, they might be the most nondescript team in the Cup.
I'm not going to lie to you. The only time I ever crossed paths with these guys is when they complained to me about the referees.
Okay.
I'll be real with you guys on them, okay? Like, it's what it is. I'm like, who are you guys? Oh, crap. Okay, cool. All good.
And again, and what's difficult for me, Mo, is I can't see these teams. So if there's no history whatsoever, I'm just looking at a box score saying,
okay.
Interesting.
All right.
I guess these are the things that happen in the game.
Of course. All right, let's go on to the Tier 3 Consolation bracket. Speakeasy against Southside Speedsters. Peeze, I'll give you an example. You know this team very well because you support them in your college fandom. So Georgia Bulldogs, a couple years ago, played Texas in the Sugar Bowl, and they skunked that game. Texas whooped their butt.
Yep.
Speakeasy.
Thanks for reminding me. I appreciate
No
that.
problem. You're welcome.
Jerk.
Go Gators. So Speakeasy, similar parallel, right? They were in position to be in a Money Bowl game, and they got knocked down the last day to get into a Money Bowl game. Could this be a letdown game against Southside Speedsters, given that they were in position to be in a top 4 matchup?
It can be as much of a letdown as it is when once Florida stopped allowing murderers and paying for the best talent. That's the kind of precipitous drop you have, and that's the kind of thing.
Some won in 40 years, Peeze. Some won in 40 years, huh?
So I look. That's I still think Speakeasy had a lot to be proud of in the season. Southside Speedsters are interesting. I keep wanting them to be better than they are. Right, so they've kind of existed in different versions of themselves in a sense, right? Like we've seen this team come back season after season, but I like Ben Reed. I think he's largely improved. I think he had a lot to work on after his first season, and he improved tremendously. And you look at some of his weapons. And you see, for example, you see guys like Nicolas Emmanuel Pierre, you see Olivier Claveau. These guys are going to create matchup issues for Speakeasy. So I think this might be one where if the Speakeasy is not careful, we may see an upset.
Yeah, I think Reed's definitely improved from his Boucherville Browns days, where he was a terrible quarterback. But mind you, they were in the wrong division at that time. They got the pieces in place to pull off the upset against Speakeasy. I know Speakeasy goes too deep on their depth chart. Like they go a defense and an offense. They have like a 14-man roster per game.
Yeah,
and they have played really well this year. Vincent Rashad's really stepped up to the plate compared to years past, where he's had some up and down moments. And again, I just find right now that they could be vulnerable. That hey, they were so close to getting into the Money Bowl game, and now here they are in the loser side.
Vincent Rashad has 4 pass attempts on the season. That's who has been quarterback.
Yeah, but I'm saying from his role as a player, right? In terms of
okay, sorry.
Yeah,
because I know from throwing. Yeah, so you mean in his role as a receiver on the team?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas a quarterback, he was up and down, But I just think that it could be a really good game. It could be set up to be a really good game that comes out to 5 plays. But it could be one of those where Speakeasy might just pull a Georgia Bulldogs and just not show up.
You mean be the greatest program of all time? First American public university, by the way, Georgia. Laurent Philippe St. Onge, by the way, he has to be the best red zone target in this division. It's something he's always done well. It just works well in space, and he had that kind of season. Now I'm just looking up in the qualification round. He put up 5 touchdowns in 4 games. He's that kind of player for them. He's someone that they're going to have to account for, and I hope that Southside Speedsters have the discipline to stay with that.
All right, lockdown, ball in 60s. The disappointment bracket with these two teams here. Again, ball in 60s, they can have a letdown themselves. Lockdown, as you've been calling them out all season long, Peeze, for being division dodgers in this FBF Cup. How disappointed should these teams be that they're in this side of the bracket as opposed to the money bracket?
I think ball in 60s, they ended up kind of where I expected them to, and I know they made a lot of noise, Mo, when you didn't give them their due, and it is what it is. Like they're
right.
good. They're a fine team. They're about middle of the road, and they ended up there. They're playing against a team that my God, they lost game 12-2. I just remembered that.
Yeah,
sorry.
To the Trap Stars.
Yeah, but they're going up against a team that has a competent defense, who has probably the best passer in the division, and I'd hope that Lockdown can muster some sort of anger about where they finished and turn that into a competitive game. Can I see this as a very obvious letdown from Lockdown? Absolutely. Can I see Lockdown win this game in a shootout? Absolutely. Did that provide no information to our listeners and watchers?
Absolutely. Perfect. I think ball and 60s were hot. That game kind of exposed their office a little bit against Trap Stars, where they couldn't get more than 2 points. And if you can't score more than 2 points in an FPF game, you're in trouble. And I think And look, Eagle, we like to poke and prod your inability to play football. But if he calls a good defense, he can make ball in 60s look like fallen 60s on next week's game.
Nice. Good wordplay right there, Moe Khan.
All right, next game.
All right, never mind.
I thought we were supposed
Moving
to
on.
Moving on.
All right. Tier 3, because Mo asks me every time, the champion gets $200, the runner-up gets $100 in this cash bracket.
All right, so that should be enough for Peasy's time at the Peelers if he decides to go post-COVID. So the semifinals, you have Mean Girls against Trap Stars, Honey Martin against Bud Knights. So we'll start off with the Mean Girls Trap Stars matchup here. The Stars getting through after they beat Zone 6 Ballers to get in as a 4 seed. In fact, I believe that game ended up being a 3-way tie for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Trap Stars, Bud Knights, and Speakeasy all having identical records. Had it been the other way, where it was only Speakeasy and Trap Stars with the same record, it would have been Trap Stars on the outside looking in. But they get the Mean Girls here, Peeze. And look, I saw the Trap Stars yesterday. Their new nickname now, Peeze, are the Degenerates.
Okay, because?
I won't say why. I can't. I told them I would not tell them. I would not say why until afterwards. But
all right,
this
is afterwards. The game is concluded.
But after they're done for the season. So if they get bounced, I will explain why.
Well, here's the thing. Unfortunately, I think you're going to be talking about it on the next show because I saw a tail end of that game because it was right before my game, and I saw just mistakes on defense. And Eagle, has been praising Mean Girls and their offense and their quarterback play. And if you blow coverages against Mean Girls, it's going to be a long day for you.
I agree.
They're going to play. Mean Girls are going to play tough, gritty defense. Already that doesn't play the Trap Stars benefit, but then when they themselves are on defense, if they're not in position, then they're going to give up scores, and that's what we saw. I saw they played against Zone 6 Ballers last night, right?
Yeah.
I saw like one play in particular where Jeansley Valbenard is able to hit a guy in the back of the end zone, and the defender looked at him like he fell out of the sky. It's like James Harden trying to defend a pick and roll. Like he's like, where did that guy come from? It was that kind of expression on his face.
Yeah, and look, I fear for Trap Stars because if Mean Girls get off and running and they're dropping like bombs like there's no tomorrow, they're in trouble. Trap Stars are in trouble because they can be out of this game in the first 10 minutes. And my biggest concern for Trap Stars is that as much as they pride themselves on game planning and understanding their concepts, they can ill afford to be in a trail like the Baltimore Ravens were against Kansas City, as Lamar Jackson couldn't get them back into that football game on Monday night. And if they're in a trail against Mean Girls, this game might be over by halftime. And we're looking probably at why they're called Degenerates on next week's episode.
All right. I'm looking forward to that, Mo.
Okay, so Honey Martin against Bud Knights. Better trash talker.
Okay.
Marc-Andre Deslaunier or a boy named Rod Jankowski?
I mean, anyone who's not Marc-Andre Deslaunier, there's no way he's a good trash talker. I've never been on the end of his trash talk, but I can't imagine him being particularly great at it. So what's interesting is Marc-Andre Deslaunier's played with Mark Bellini, and the two are very familiar with each other. So it's going to be the kind of mistake where guys are going to make plays, and guys are going to guess at what the other teams are going to try and do, and it's going to be an interesting game. The familiarity, I think, adds a lot of excitement, in my opinion.
Yeah, both quarterbacks didn't throw up Madden-like numbers of touchdowns and yards passing. So it leads me to believe that this could be one of those first 1 to 25 wins type of football game. I think they both play really good defense, both smart teams. I think they've been together, this core groups for both sides for quite a while now. I think Honey Martin is primed. I know you call them false kings, Peasy, but I think they're primed to show that they are ready to take that next step. They've had their moments of glory and have had their crashes into the ground. And now here they are in a matchup against Bud Knights that could arguably be a de facto final because of how good these teams are. And they could have met, in the next round as opposed to the semifinal that we have coming up next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of wish this would have been the final for this cash bracket. But look, the chips fell where they were. and you know, either one who wins this game will be favored over either Mean Girls or Trap Stars. But I think that both teams are fallible in a sense, because to your point, like they don't put teams away. They both let the other team stick around, and that would eventually bite them.
More false kings.
Yeah.
Would it be Honey Martin or Mean Girls if they met in the finals?
So I don't think either one's a false king in this season because again, Honey Martin is like lockdown playing in the wrong division. They know they cheated the system and they're getting away with it. And then Mean Girls, their improvement, it's up there with whoever I said was the most improved team in FPF. Oh, Sweat and Beers, like it's that kind of improvement where just from about this time last year, if not winter season, that came right after, they improved so quickly, and it literally just took finding someone who knew how to execute at the quarterback position, and that's all it took. So I'm pretty high on both of these teams, but like I'm happy to be high on Mean Girls, but Honey Martin, they're just a disappointment.
Right, perfect.
Because they're in the wrong division.
I know. Keynote Trap Stars, they're going to be thin of a roster. One of their guys is out, from what I was told. It is, I don't know, should I mention it now because he's not going to play, or should I wait till after the season's done?
I would say wait because the IR stuff needs to come in, and then there's replacements and all that other stuff. So
they're going to be thin. They're going to be thin for their game next week. But look, if there's going to be one guy, just go back to the Mean Girl game, Kyle Oberfeld is the guy to watch out for. That's the guy to watch out for.
I agree. He's awesome.
He's going to be the guy. All right, next.
All right, we have the co-ed Paul Lapierre Bowl. The winner of this one gets, I think, it's $200. I can check it again.
Yeah,
but I was
$200. Ryan Dobbs Gardner was not happy about the minimal victory of how much money would come their way if they won.
Well, if he wants to play some bets with me and you, Mo, he can really up the ante.
We'll see what Vegas has to offer for this. Okay, so Fighting Tigers, Le Semi-Cocan, the Fighting Seth Galinas. Now, they've had trouble with this team. They lost to them. Their only loss during the opening round. And in fact, the Semi-Cocan had a lead against the Fighting Galinas in Laval, and they ended up losing by a score. So this might be a trickier endeavor for the Fighting Galinas going up against a pretty good Semi-Cocan roster.
So I want to believe in Semi-Cocan. They're the team I want to win this championship. I'm a fan. I like what they do. And they're sort of like a medium power, right? Like they're not the best team in the division. They don't have the most obvious top end talent like some of the other teams in this division. But they're just a good all around team. Marie-Ève Girard turned the ball over too many times. That's affected her in the qualification round.
Right.
It's going to have to be a perfect game for her. Fighting Tigers just have a lot of talent. Like Seth Galina is not having to do too much, right? Like he just has to not make a bad decision, and then his players go get the ball for him and then make people miss or get wide open, and he just has to hit them.
Is he like Jimmy Garoppolo?
Less attractive, yeah.
Oh no, I think Seth is Jimmy G.
He's no Jimmy G. Jimmy G is just straight sex.
Well, if you look at Stephen A. Smith, he calls him porn star Jimmy.
Yeah, there you go. Nobody calls Seth Galina porn star Seth.
Oh, there's a reason why he calls him that, right? I mean,
he's dated a porn star.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, look, for the Fighting Galinas, the only way that they lose this football game is if they have a lot of unforced errors that they create.
Yeah.
And if they create mistakes by themselves, then I can say, hey, you know what? They're in trouble. Because in reality, Peeze, they really haven't had a game of consequence, and up until maybe 2 weeks ago, when they played Kiss My End Zone twice, and that went down to pretty much them getting the number one seed, and Kiss My End Zone, who we'll talk about now, playing Yin and Yang. And Kiss My End Zone, Peeze, they are sliding. They've lost 4 of the last 5, and they've given up an aggregate of 65-24 in points for and against Yin and Yang in their last 2 meetings. And here they are meeting up again next week in the third round of this one-on-one battle here. Are you worried about Kiss My End Zone?
So it's not so much I'm worried about Kiss My End Zone as I'm worried about Josh Vasquez. It really depends which Josh Vasquez shows up, right? Like we talked about on last week's show. If he is the best version of him, then this team should just steamroll to victory, and we'll see them in the finals, right? Like, so they have Jalen Greaves, Vlad Pierre, Jamil Springer. The team is just stacked, like top to bottom.
Alexis Dubois.
And so just on him to use this. Like, if he doesn't try to do too much, this should be an easy win for him. But I can see a scenario where instead of it being like, a 36-7 game, it ends up being 24-20, and they're on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, I just think Kiss My End Zone has a lot of explosive personalities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure if
like Alexis Dubois, for example, and Erica Dubois.
Yeah, Erica Dubois is a better Dubois anyway. I still don't know.
Very explosive personalities.
Exactly. I still don't know if they figured out how to kind of, not pull a Doc Rivers, but try to manage the personalities. Because look, they have talent on that roster, but they just kind of blow up the wrong time and just lose focus. And I think for Yin and Yang, this is not a good matchup because Yin and Yang can trash talk with the best of them, but guess what? They got talent on both sides. Emma Racine's probably the best female player in this league for the co-ed division. But most importantly, though, they have figured out a karma that's gone in their way in terms of the quarterback play. I think Justin Weir stepped up big time. Matthew Peacock's played very well. No one stopped Ryan Dobbs at all this season in the second half of the year. So they got a lot of momentum coming into this game piece. And it'll be very tough for Kiss My End Zone to kind of suspend that and probably pull off the upset.
And Yin and Yang hasn't lost the game since week 2.
Yeah, they're good. They've really improved.
They've been sort of under the radar in a sense because I think just because they started so poorly, and they just weren't sort of the storyline for once.
Right.
And now I think this is the opportunity to sort of claim back that that reverence in a sense.
Right. And I think when Gino DeFazio went MIA for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's when they kind of grew, Yin and Yang. They kind of got better. They kind of had to say, okay, we got to kind of fend for ourselves as it grew. And that's when they started to turn the corner. Whereas Kiss My End Zone, they've been kind of going in a straight line, if not going towards below the Mendoza line, for those who know
that's some top-level shade, Mo. That's like the level of shade matches the plastic-covered lampshade that you got behind you. That's the level of shade you throw in a Yin and Yang.
Does that match? Does that match Alexis Dubois' orange sweater?
It might.
Anyway, I if there's out of these two semifinal co-ed games, Yin and Yang versus Kiss My End Zone is one I cannot wait to watch because it is going to be a lot of trash talking, and there is no love lost with these two teams. The history with Gino DeFazio and some of the guys on the opposite side of the football is definitely evident, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot on the line here. In terms of the bragging rights, saying we won up to you, whoever wins this football game next week. So Absolutely. We'll find out. All right, it is now time for
Games of the Week. Because we can still do that. There's still games, and it's still a week.
Yes.
So let's start with tier 1 here. Oh, God damn it. I'm bad at this today, apparently. No.
So did you not see it coming?
No, I did. It's just I have to click on stuff, right? All right. So let's start tier 1. Bravo versus Urgence-Medic.
I'm going Team Green.
Team Green as well.
All right. KGP Consequence.
I gave my analysis in the washroom for those who didn't hear it. Okay. I'll do it.
Sure, Mama Khan's happy. She heard the echoes.
Yeah, she did for sure. I'm going with my namesake, Consequence.
I am also going to Consequence.
All right. Brave Noir Terror Squad.
Brave Noir for me.
Yeah, Brave Noir for me as well.
And
not Terror
BYOB.
Squad? Sure?
Sorry?
You sure, Mo, not Terror Squad?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
BYOB Sweat and Beers.
Give me BYOB.
Yeah. Okay. Tier 2. Half a Stars Outlaws.
Man, I like to see Kevin Kasai. Oh, man. I'm going half a star to win this football game, but I just want to see Kim Kasai get stressed out. That's all I care about.
Well, you just need to see him then at any time.
Yeah, trust me. Oh, he's amazing when he's stressed out. Next.
All right. Tough lungs. Pardon my swag.
PMS.
Yeah, PMS.
Pepperoni boys. ECW.
Easy W. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pick against you guys again, but I'm going to do it. Give me easy W.
Pep Boys.
TechFaf. Shorthorns. LGC.
LGC for me.
Yeah, this is like one of those. It's like in college football, the triple option, like Army or Georgia Tech used to run against like a high-powered offense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Shorthorns, but this is going to go into overtime.
Okay.
OT. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Les Centaures. Mangoose.
I'm
going
Give me
Mangoose.
Mangoose, but I don't like it.
Yeah, this might be tricky.
And Warriors. Bruins.
Warriors.
I'm going to go Warriors for this one as well, please.
All right. Tier 3. Mean Girls. Trap Stars.
MG.
Yeah, Mean Girls. Even though Trap Stars, like every time you pick against us, we win. I go, well, not this week, pal. You're not going to win this one.
Yeah.
Honey Martin. Bud Knights.
I want to pull for my boy Mad. So you know what? I think Bud Knights. I think the FPF gods will punish the karmically deviant teams in this tournament. One of them being Honey Martin. So because I'm mad at them, give me Bud Knights.
I'm convinced it was. I'm convinced it was. If it was Honey Martin versus Honey Martin, you still pick Bud Knights to win. And Honey Martin.
100%.
Give me Honey Martin to win this football game.
All right. Lockdown. Ball in 60s.
Lockdown. Unfortunately, your karma's coming later.
Yeah.
Rainmakers. Toon Squad.
Rainmakers.
Le Speakeasy. Triple S.
Speak easy.
Triple S.
And Triple P. LNJ.
Triple P.
Triple P for me as well.
Last 2 games. Co-ed. Yin and Yang. Kiss My End Zone.
Kiss my end zone.
Yin and Yang.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
And last game. Fighting Tigers. Semi-Croquant.
Fighting Galenas.
I want to pick Semikaka so bad, but I'm going to go with Fighting Tigers. Is Mo still terrible at picks?
Yes, he's still really bad.
What's the
Amazing.
percentages now?
Let me go check the exact numbers. It's bad, as you would expect.
Yeah,
Sure.
as I
Let's
did.
see. So results right now, Mo, after all the weeks, you are because the last week is kind of weird. So you're 99 and 58 at 63%. You're still in last.
It's still a good number.
I mean,
but as compared to
not
the
great,
others, it's
though,
a
right?
bad number.
What's Alexi Dubois' percentage right now?
Alexi, that's 63.8.
Okay, what's his record?
You got
He's
smoked,
97.55.
Oh boy, percentage points. Oh my god.
You got smoked, Mo. What is it? What is? He crushed you. He crushed
Okay, so just to go over again. So Eagle, to remind the captains, Friday you must submit a prelim roster of guys that could be opting out here. Eagle, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And then Sunday you must finalize the roster before we have our first playoff game on Monday, correct?
That seems to be the dates we're going with. Like I said, more details will come out tomorrow morning when we finalize some of the little rules here.
Right. So please, and then also a reminder to all the teams: do not bring fans to Laval and Brossard, and don't forget we go Monday Laval, Tuesday, Wednesday Brossard. No fans until further notice. And Robert Capano will send out an email. Is that correct, Eagle, to the team captains?
Captains will get an email, and then we're going to post it on a wall, group, page, website, everywhere else.
All right, perfect.
Twitter,
So,
Instagram. Mo, if you want to get followed, it's at Moe Khan 19. Peeze, if you want to get followed, it's Peeze FPF. If you want to follow me, no thank you. I don't like people walking behind me at night.
Okay, perfect.
I learned that the hard way.
Anything else we got to wrap up, boys, before we say sayonara to the FPF crew? I know it's been a unique situation because we're in red, and it's very important that we must abide by rules and keep clean hands.
Once again, Mo, you've just done a great job. I don't think I mentioned it before, but I really need to congratulate you on really pulling together and helping the FPF community. So really, I think on behalf of anyone who's ever played FPF, anyone who's ever considered flag football, anyone who's ever waved a flag, I would say of anyone who's ever been near a flag of any sort, you're the greatest man of them all.
I'm the greatest man of them all. So, and we'll also have a protocol for those who've not played in Laval or Brassard, what is required of the teams that will play Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And the email that will be sent out tomorrow from the FPF World. Okay, anything else, Eagle?
That's about it from all of us here at the Weekly Extra Point Live.
Good night, Miami Heat. We're done.
Will Power's coming after you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone less menacing than Will Power?
Willpower.